Hey gang, welcome to another edition of Doc Schlock, where it's a review of the movie Hide and Go Shriek! This one is about 8 friends who are just graduating from high school, and they decide that they want to spend the night in a furniture factory. I got a feeling I reviewed this one already. No, that was the night before Easter. I'm sorry. And this was done way before then. So they decide to go sneak into a furniture store to have a little fun. And while they're in there, they decide they want to play hide and go seek. Well, while they're in there, there's an ex-convict named Fred, who's pretty much the night watchman. He lives in there the whole 9 yards. And well, the 8 friends are having fun, but, well, unbeknownst to them, there's a killer on the loose. Could it be Fred? Well, while some of them are getting killed off and playing hide-and-go-seek, the killer goes around dressed in some disguises, including, at one point, dressing up in female clothing. In fact, in the beginning of the movie, somebody's dressing up in female clothing, putting on makeup, a wig, the whole weird 9 yards. Well, the bodies start piling up. The remaining friends who pretty much wind up surviving it are Judy, David, and Bonnie, and it's up to them to try and figure out who the killer is. Of course, naturally, you're supposed to suspect it's Fred, but actually it turns out the killer is Zach, who actually was in prison with Fred. In fact, you could probably say that Fred and Zach were very good friends. Close friends. You know where I'm going with this, don't you? It turns out Zach wound up killing, well, most of the kids, most of the teenagers in the factory, because he was afraid that they were going to get between him and Fred because, well, Zach and Fred had a nice little relationship while in prison. But Fred rejects Zach. Zach goes, stabs Fred. But then Zach winds up going down a mining shaft after tripping over one of his victims' heads. Don't you hate when that happens? Falls down an elevator shaft, and the remaining 3 wind up talking to the police about everything that happens. EMTs go to check on them the next day. Fred dies, not being able to get a chance to really explain what happened. And just when you think everything's going to be alright and everything's going to be okay, the 3 remaining teenagers get in the back of an ambulance. The EMT checking on them is dead on a gurney, and somebody's driving the ambulance away, and it turns out it's Zach as he looks into the camera menacingly and drives off. And so our movie ends. So why did this movie suck? I can't say it sucked extremely badly, but there were a few things I didn't like about it. Quite a few off-screen gore kills. That was kind of bad. I think probably one of the worst deaths in the movie is with a mannequin arm, I believe it was. And you didn't even get to see it. There were some likable characters in the movie. But really to kind of go in the direction of finding out that Zach killed most of the teenagers because he wanted to kind of rebuild his relationship with Fred, and Fred was all like, oh, no, thank you. That to me was kind of like... So you had to kind of go that route. You had to kind of make it to where Fred and Zach were lovers in prison. You couldn't have sat there and said something like, I don't know, they were old friends and they planned on getting out of prison to, Fred was going to clean up his life and Zach was going to go and keep killing people and trying to get Fred involved. But no, they had to kind of go that route, and I thought that was a little bit unoriginal, honestly. But I mean, I will admit it was a good twist, having Zach being the killer and everything like that, but killing off Fred, that was such a shame. Fred was so likable. He was intimidating, I'll give it that much, but he seemed to be so likable and everything, and when they killed him off, it was like, wow, really? That sucks. Predictable who's going to get killed off. Quite a few off-screen gore kills. And again, just that slight twist that just kind of, you know, the twist was good, but when it kind of went a little bit further into, you know, what was the deal between Fred and Zach. Almost said Fred and Wilma or Fred and Barney. That would have been worse. That to me is kind of went, you know, I was like, oh, okay, that was bad. But then when they end it with Zach going down an elevator shaft, and then he winds up driving the ambulance away, I went, okay, that was stupid, that was lame, that was horrible. But there you guys have it, a review of Hide and Go Shriek in the terrifying tradition of Friday the 13th and Halloween. Only problem was, they were better. If you like my videos, feel free to subscribe. If you have a horror, sci-fi horror, comedy horror, fantasy horror movie that kind of sound like a childhood game you used to play, then they turn into something really weird and bad and not that great, send it my way and I'll get on it ASAP. Thank you guys so very, very much for watching, and until next time, as always, stay strong and rock on.